I am back, you guys, for 4 super easy and delicious recipes. Hey guys, Kira here from 50 Shades of Mom, tips for all shades of mom life. And in today's video, I have 4 super easy but super delicious recipes to share with you. Now, once I received the email that Every Plate was back in business and they were taking on new customers, I knew I had to come on and share some of their recipes and give them a shout out. I absolutely love them and I use their service every other week. And every single box that I get, I film because their recipes are that good. And besides being super easy and super delicious, they're easily recreatable, which is why I like to share them with you guys, because even if you don't want to get the service, you still can use these recipes and recreate them at home. When I made my monthly meal plan for the month of May, I chose 5 Every Plate meals to recreate. Those were ones that were our favorite, and I just put my own little personal flair on them, used their idea as a base, and then just added all these little tweaks that I know my family would love, and we love them even more than we did the first time. So I like sharing these recipes with you guys so that you can use them as just ideas and inspiration and then break on off of it from there. So I'm going to bring you down to my kitchen. I'm going to show you these 4 easy, delicious recipes, especially that chicken Alfredo flatbread pizza. Oh my gosh, you guys, so good. So the first recipe I have for you today is a butternut and Brussels sprout gnocchi. I chose that gnocchi. I thought this would be something that Jake would be interested in. He absolutely loves his vegetables. He's been really enjoying them roasted. So I thought this would be something he would like. In the back, we have the stuff that Every Plate needs you to provide from home. So that's some butter, vegetable oil, and flour. We have that gnocchi, which is just a potato-based pasta. Look at those beautiful Brussels sprouts and some squash. We need lemon, garlic, sour cream, and then we also have some super delicious Parmesan cheese. I feel like they have some of the best Parmesan that I have tried recently, like from any of the places that I've bought. I really enjoy their Parmesan. So we're going to start off by roasting our vegetables. I've mentioned this a bunch of times, but Every Plate has really turned me on to roasting veggies, and they've also turned me on to salting and peppering at every single step. I don't normally do that when I would cook on my own, but I definitely have done that now because they kind of encouraged me to do so. So I set the oven for 425 degrees, salt, peppered, and olive oiled those squash and stuck them in the oven. And now we're prepping our Brussels sprouts. So I generally cut off the bottom and then I just cut the Brussels sprouts one time in lengthways and then again so that they are quartered. And that really just helps with the roasting process. And I also feel like it really gets a good char when you cut it in quarters because it literally gets that olive oil and salt and pepper on every aspect of the Brussels sprouts. I also like to put a little bit of bacon grease on my Brussels sprouts, not something that Every Plate recommended, but I always have some liquid gold in my fridge and I like to drizzle a little bit of the bacon grease on my Brussels sprouts when I cook them. Something else that Every Plate turned me on to is zesting, and I have this zester that I've had forever and it really comes in handy. I can't tell you how many times I pull it out in a week for using that really powerful flavor of the lemon rind. So I went ahead and zested the whole lemon and quartered it, and then I got 4 nice garlic cloves ready. So after about 10 to 12 minutes of the squash being in there, that's a vegetable that really needs a good amount of time for roasting. I took it out, I gave it a good toss, and then I threw my Brussels sprouts on there with a little bit more vegetable oil and some salt and pepper. I actually don't give in to them most of the time. If it calls for vegetable oil, I'll still use olive oil. In this particular recipe, I did follow their recommendations and do vegetable oil, but sometimes I'll just sub it for whatever oil I want to use. So I brought my water to a boil, threw that gnocchi in there after it was heavily salted water, and then you need to reserve a cup of that water to make your sauce later. So I did that, pulled my pasta, and then I put a little bit of butter on the stove and got my chopped garlic in there. I love when garlic hits the butter within a minute. the whole room smells fragrant like that. So now you're going to put in 2 tablespoons of flour and give that a good whisk. And then you're slowly going to work in a cup of that pasta water, and you're just going to create a sauce. Now at this point, I was like, wow, Jake's really going to like this. We added in our Parmesan cheese and sour cream and the garlic. And I was like, wow, this is so up Jake's alley. And as I whisked it all together, I'm like, oh my goodness, he's going to love it. And then we added in that lemon zest and 2 of those quarters of lemon, so a half of a lemon. And I feel like no matter what else I could have done, that was just too much lemon for Jake. I absolutely loved that sauce. As I mentioned, that rind of that lemon is so powerful. So mixing that in with a little bit more salt and pepper just created so much flavor. And then I just took a bowl and I put a little bit of the veggies on the bottom, the squash and the Brussels sprouts. And then I ladled this gnocchi and the sauce over it, and then topped it with a little bit more of the veggies. And I just thought this was so amazing. And I got it for Jake, and I ended up loving it, and he just really wasn't a fan. I just made another pasta dish and had a little bit of lemon in it, and he said that was a good amount of lemon, and he really enjoyed that one. But this one, he said, was a no-go for him. But the Brussels sprouts with the squash just added like a sweet and hearty and savory on top of that really lemony and creamy gnocchi. Super, super good. So now we're going to do some sesame ginger chicken, and I was actually a tad disappointed in this dish, and I think it's because I was putting a really heavy like takeout Chinese feel on this, and that's not how it ended up coming out. But you needed some chicken breast strips that you're going to cut into little pieces. You need some sesame oil, which is a huge key in making any kind of like takeout kind of feel, because that gives you that real flavor. There was a little bit of cornstarch, some ginger, which I loved that ginger root. I got 2 other meals out of what they supplied. Some white rice, some garlic. They gave a few packs of soy sauce, a small bottle of white vinegar, tons of green onion. I love when they give fresh onion like that, because I get to use that again for other dishes. And then a really nice hearty zucchini. So the first step is to get your rice as clean as possible. That's a trick for when you're doing rice, even in the pressure cooker or on the stove. As soon as you mix up your rice and you see how cloudy that your water gets, that's all the starch coming out. If you leave your starch in, which I generally do when I make it in the pressure cooker, it makes that sticky rice, like that takeout rice, which is what I was kind of hoping for here. But they really wanted you to continue to keep cleaning your rice and getting it as clean as possible. So I think I did this about 5 or 6 times using my pure water filter, because I only like to use filtered water, until eventually I got it to the point where it ran as clean as possible. And you'll see, even after I added water again and we put it on the stove, you can still see that there's a little bit of cloudiness still to that water. But it took me 5 times to clean it. But I got it on the stove, and then I prepped the rest of our veggies. So I sliced up our zucchini, I cut up that green onions, and I separated that really vibrant green part at the end, and then more of the white onion part that's at the other side. And then I cut up some garlic and that ginger, and then we're going to mix this together, that white vinegar that they provided, the soy sauce, and then some sugar that we needed from home. Now I took those chicken breast strips and put them in a bowl with salt, pepper, some cornstarch, and mix that all together. That cornstarch is really going to help make our sauce thicker when we're going ahead and cooking that chicken a little bit later. So now that I have a pan on the stove with a little bit of olive oil, we'll throw that chicken in there and get it good and browned on all sides, which usually takes about 3 to 5 minutes. So after our 3 to 5 minutes on each side was up, I went ahead and added just the white part of that green onion and then the garlic and ginger, and I let that cook for about 2 minutes. And then I went ahead and added in that soy sauce mixture that we made. And then after we cooked that for about 5 to 7 more minutes, I went and topped it with that sesame oil, and that kind of finished off the dish. So once that white rice was done and tender, I just fluffed it with a fork and some butter and salt. And then here was the zucchini that I just added some olive oil, salt, and pepper to and roasted in the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes on 425 degrees. And then I just plated it with the rice on the bottom and some of that sesame ginger chicken on the side with some of that zucchini on the other side, and then just sprinkled it with a little bit more of the green onions. That's when you use more of that vibrant green side as your topping. And this was really good, you guys. Don't get me wrong, I really liked this recipe. I just had a different conception of what I thought it was going to be. I got this mental picture of like the sticky rice from Chinese takeout and having like sesame chicken from there. The sesame oil was good, but I was looking for like the sesame seeds and a little bit more of that sweet flavor to that sauce, but it still was really good. I don't know if I would get this one from every plate again, but I would recreate it at home and just kind of tweak a few things. So now we're on to our next recipe, and that is Mediterranean beef pita pockets. So whenever I see anything on the weekly menu from every plate that is Mediterranean feel, I jump all over it. I love tzatziki sauce. That is one of my favorite things. I say gyro. I know you guys say euro, but I absolutely love them. And so this recipe needed tomato, lemon juice, some sour cream, some ground beef. There was a small cucumber for like pickling and putting in our tzatziki. We have some carrots that we're going to turn into fries. We have a Turkish spice blend, and I got a little close here to show you guys that they actually list what's in it, like coriander, garlic, cumin, so that you can kind of recreate those spices at home if you're redoing this dish. And then of course our pita pockets. Can't make a pita pocket without the pocket, right? So here is our veggies all ready to go. We have some diced up tomato here, our zested lemon, and then quartered. We have some of that cucumber shredded for the tzatziki, and then some that we're going to pickle that are in half moon shapes. And then these carrot sticks, you guys. They made me make fries out of carrot sticks, which I was over the moon about because I really love a good sweet potato fry, and carrots are sweet when they're roasted. So I was like, you know what? This is going to make a really great fry, and it was fantastic. I did burn it a little bit. You'll see at the end, but I always burn everything like this. But I put a little olive oil, salt, and pepper, and I've actually done that again twice, where I've used carrots from home and made carrot fries because my kids loved them, and who knew, right? So super good. So we're going to go ahead and take a bowl and put those diced up tomatoes, those half moon cucumbers, the lemon zest, and some of the quartered lemon, and then a little bit of olive oil and salt and pepper, and then mix this up. This made a really good like salsa, just a fresh, vibrant topping that's going to go inside of that pita pocket once we go ahead and cook the ground beef. So I really enjoyed that. I love all those kind of fresh salsas and stuff. And then now we're going to go ahead and make that tzatziki. So we put the sour cream in a bowl with that shredded cucumber, and I actually used my zester with the cucumber to make it shredded like that, and then some more of the lemon juice and salt and pepper. That's it. But once it sits, it really makes that like really good flavor that I love on top of what normally is lamb and stuff. So I love that. And then I got a pan with a little bit of olive oil on the stove and added in our ground beef, and then that Turkish blend, which again, I love that they put the ingredients right on the package so that when I've can make this again at home, I can throw in those same flavors. And then once that was cooked through, you're almost ready for assembly. So this is probably one of the most simplest of the recipes I've ever cooked. I just wasn't a big fan of the pita pockets that they provided. I don't know, I don't feel like they opened as well, and I've kind of still been with the eliminating carbs the best that I can. And if I had to have a carb, this is not how I would choose to have it. I just would have made a bowl out of it. So this is again something I would redo at home, but probably eliminate that pocket feel. But Jake really liked it. Daryl likes cucumbers, but they don't like him. So this definitely wasn't something for him. But Jake loves cucumbers like me. So he did enjoy it. And there are my burnt fries. But I liked it, but next time I said I'll just do something like that in a bowl. But the carrot fries, that's just kind of sold me on something for future use. Now our last recipe is the thin crust chicken Alfredo flatbread pizzas, which I've already remade, and unfortunately I didn't get a what's for dinner clip of it, and I'm really upset about it, but I will make it again and again because it is so easy and so delicious. So you need some onion, some garlic, some chicken, Italian seasoning. You're going to need some flatbread, which I've been loving the one from Trader Joe's. You're going to need some Parmesan cheese as well as some shredded mozzarella. You're also going to need a little bit of a red chili pepper flakes, which adds a great dynamic, and then some cream cheese. Now you can recreate this any way that you want. When I just made this, I made it a completely different way, but we're going to go ahead and talk about how they want us to make it. So I thinly sliced half of the onion, and then in a bowl I put those chicken pieces with some olive oil, salt, and pepper, and then I got a piece of tin foil to throw our garlic cloves in because we're going to roast them, which you guys, again, with the roasting on every plate, I roast my garlic seriously like once a week now, or twice a week for recipes, because just why did I never do that all the time? It's so delicious. So now with a frying pan on the stove, I add a little bit of olive oil and salt and pepper, threw our onions in, and after they sweated down a little bit, I added some sugar. I used erythritol, but you can use whatever kind of sugar you'd like. And once those got to a caramelization point, then I went ahead and added our chicken. So that step, when I just did the flatbreads, is to the point where that's what I did. But I forgot to put the flatbreads in when I made it first to get it like crispy, so it wasn't as crispy as this was, and I kind of think I prefer the crispier side, so I made a mental note to make sure to cook my flatbread first, because I definitely didn't do it like that. And then once the chicken is done, you're going to take it out and throw a little bit of butter right in the same pan that you just cooked that chicken, and then take your roasted garlic out and smash it. Give it a good smash. Throw it into that pan with that butter, and then you're going to add a little bit of flour and some water and just keep working it together to make your Alfredo sauce. I do my Alfredo sauce just a little bit different, so I actually made my regular Alfredo when I just remade this, so I'll link that recipe up above if you want to check out my really easy Alfredo recipe. But you can also do it like this, because once you just made that little roux, now all they did was add in some cream cheese, and that really adds in that really good creamy Alfredo flavor, especially with the garlic. I add cream cheese to mine as well, but I do heavy cream and butter a little bit more than, you know, how they do it. But once you get a nice creamy texture and consistency to your sauce, of course you're going to salt and pepper, because we do that pretty much at every step, and then we're going to pull that Alfredo sauce and put it on each one of these flatbreads. Now these recipes are so old, like I made these forever and forever ago, that this was still during Lent, and we made this on a Friday when I generally wouldn't eat meat. I actually believe this was Good Friday that I wouldn't have eaten meat. So I only put the chicken on one side of the pizza, and that's the chicken that Daryl and the little kids ate. The chicken, oh my gosh, that's the side of the pizza that Daryl and the little kids ate. And then I just took the onions that were like left on the bottom of the bowl, and I put that on mine and Jake's side of the pizza. And then we went ahead and sprinkled the Parmesan and the shredded mozzarella, and then stuck it back in the oven for just a few minutes. Our crust is already crispy, so we're just trying to melt the cheese. And then we're going to go ahead and take that Italian seasoning. We're going to sprinkle that on each pizza, and then we're going to put a little bit of the red pepper chili flakes. I didn't do a whole lot of it, but I did enough that my kids still ate their side, but it wasn't overwhelmingly hot, but it really did add such a good flavor. So I put the chicken pieces on a plate for Daryl and the kids, and then me and Jake each had 2 of the side with no chicken, and then I just made one of those like little fish fillets. Again, like I said, it was Good Friday, so no meat for us, but everybody else loved the chicken one, and we love this so much. Like I said, we've already recreated it, and I will make it over and over and over again. So that's it for this time's video, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed a little bit of this cooking inspiration. Again, you don't have to try every plate to be able to recreate their recipes, but if you do want to try them, my link is always in the description box, and you get to try the first time for just just $10. So again, you guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. I love you guys all so much, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.